So at this point in the course, we have basically built the static version of our application, so most of the HTML and CSS. However, it's not really an application yet, as the data is not being loaded from anywhere, and we also can't create any new data, so we can't create any new facts. Therefore, the next step is to now think about the data. Now, if you remember the very first lecture of the course, you will remember that everything related to databases is on the back end, right? And so in this section, we're quickly going to make a detour to the back end. So in this section, we're going to build a backend for our application using a service called Supabase. So Supabase is a service that allows developers to easily and very quickly create a backend with a complete database. Now, as we talked about in that first lecture of the course, building a backend is this complex task of using a language like Node.js or PHP in order to build a backend application connected to some database. That, however, sounds like too complicated for a crash course like this, right? So there is good news. With Supabase, we don't need to do any of this manually. So when we use Supabase, no backend development is necessary. Instead, Supabase will automatically create a database and a matching API so that we can very easily request and receive data from the server where the Supabase database is hosted. It's all extremely simple. Let me just clarify what the term API means, as you will hear it in web development all the time. So API stands for Application Programming Interface. APIs are used everywhere in software development, not just on the web. But in the case of managing data on servers, an API is basically a program that receives requests for data, gets that data from a database, and then sends the data back as JSON. And JSON is this very common data format that we use in APIs, similar to objects in JavaScript. Okay, and with that being said, it's time to go create our very first backend with Supabase. It's gonna be a lot of fun because this will now really feel as though we're building a real product for the first time. So let's quickly move on to the next video.